Hey guys, it's Dr. Seamus here, and today I want to talk about parasites. And so sometimes there can be a misconception with this where people think, mostly those are present in other countries where there's maybe less sanitary measures. But the truth of the matter is that even right here in the United States, there is a prevalence of parasites. And so let's talk about right off the bat what a parasite even is. And so by definition, a parasite is an organism that feeds off the food from a host. So, for instance, in a human being, it will feed off whatever the human eats for its own survival. And there can be a few different methods of transmission where it comes to a human getting a parasite. And so there can be a fecal oral route, and we can see this with contaminated food, contaminated water. There can also be person-to-person contact. And then there can also be insect vectors as well. And so when you think in the case of malaria, there is a mosquito that has the Plasmodium parasite that when it bites a human, it can get in that way. So that is the insect vector method right there. But as far as parasites, there are three main classes, and we see protozoa, helminths, and ectoparasites. So we'll break each of these down here. As far as protozoan, we have things like Giardia, toxoplasmosis, and then malaria as well. And so malaria, again, like I was saying, with the insect vector of disease. When it comes to helminthic infections, these are the worm-based infections. And so things like roundworms, tapeworms, flatworms, pinworms, all those worm-based infections that really can harbor in the GI tract. And then even in the case of hookworms, they can be more present in the blood. And so in some cases with some of the helminthic infections, they can actually travel outside of the intestines and the bloodstream, lodge in tissues like the brain actually, and these little cysts can form there. They can rupture, create more worms, so that can be exceedingly problematic when they can get that cyst development outside of the intestines. And then there are also the ectoparasites, and these are things like mites, lice, fleas, and they can cause issues more dermatitis, but then even burrow in and cause issues more internally as well. And so there's a test from Genova Diagnostics that is called the GI Effects Comprehensive Profile, and there is a parasite section on there where they look at protozoa, roundworms, tapeworms, flukes, and all these different parasites to see what may be present in the body. And so the reason you'd order one of those tests, or I'd order that for a patient, is based on different symptoms that the patient is experiencing. And so if there is weight loss, or even after you're eating food, you just don't feel satisfied or full for that long, that could be an indicator, could be that there is a parasite present, because oftentimes the parasite is feeding on the food you're eating, and then you yourself are not getting the nutrients there to make you feel full, to really hit this satiety. There can also be abdominal pain, diarrhea, nausea, things like skin eruptions and skin issues. What else? We got malaise, fatigue, apathy, anemia, allergies, sleeping problems, even with, especially with pinworms that can cause that perianal itching as they come out at nighttime. So these are just some of the main symptoms that people deal with when it comes to parasitic infections. And so if you can resonate with any of those kind of symptoms, or you suspect that you may have one, even from traveling perhaps, or based on some of the symptoms mentioned there, I'd encourage you to head over to my website at drseamus.com. There's an application there you can fill out, email back to me. Let's get on a phone call and talk about that and see if maybe a parasite test might be right for you. And so again, Genova Diagnostics has a very thorough parasitology section on their GI effects. It's one I prefer to order a lot of times. It's a stool sample and gives us a lot of insight as to what's going on internally. We can check the landscape of the gut to see how we can then further target that specific parasite infection through natural herbal antibiotics, botanicals, revamping the diet, lifestyle modifications, and things of that nature. So hope you guys found this video insightful on parasites and how to overcome them.